Hey everybody, okay, today we are showing part 2 of my conversation with the amazing Molly Burke. If you missed part 1 of the conversation, tap up here. Matthew, you're gonna make that appear up there, right?
Yep.
Okay. And if you've already watched that, then enjoy part 2 of my conversation with Molly Burke.
My husband is blind, and today...
Wait, I called you Maple. Okay, take 2. Oh no!
I feel like you've called me Maple so many times.
Well, it's the M names. It's the M names. You're like small and by my side, like
and
my guide
I'm hyper.
dog. Yeah, you have Maple energy.
Hi, Elton
hello.
John. Hi,
okay,
Elton Melton.
Elton John is begging for a segue. He's like, it's been
Maple
far.
is coming over.
Maple. Where
Maple's like not to be outdone. I hear him running around
buddy.
here.
Oh, hi.
The boys.
Maple, the boys are here.
Hi, boys.
Okay, clearly they're like, you've gone on too long not talking about us.
Yes.
I would love to talk about your guide dog journey, because here on Matthew and Paul channel that we talk a lot about my guide dog journey. Now you've been a guide dog handler far longer than I, because it's
16 years.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
So it's
Makes me feel so old.
but you're so young. It's just that you started so young.
Yes.
And I have to say that watching your videos and you talk about it, for me, was one of the stepping stones that gave me the confidence to take that leap myself. Because it kind of is a leap. A lot of people on their vision loss journeys don't dive right into that. You know, even getting the cane, it's all a step.
It's scary. Every step is scary.
Every step is scary. Could you tell me a little bit about that first step for you? Was it like gung-ho, I want a dog at 14?
Yeah, so what happened was I started orientation and mobility training with my cane when I was in grade 2. And then by grade 4, I believe it was, I needed to start using it full time. I believe I was like 9 years old when I started using it full time. I got into an accident. I feel like that's how a lot of us start using the cane.
Of course.
Is like, you're like, I can see enough, I don't need it. And then you like severely hurt yourself or somebody else.
Or somebody else.
And
I always tell people I knocked into so many dogs and small children, ironically dogs, because like, you know, they're down low.
Yes.
And I kicked so many of them.
Yep.
And knocked over so many children, and they fall in slow motion, and it is like, are they gonna cry or not? There's that painful moment of silence. So I was like, I can't keep doing this.
Well, and I always say to people, I personally would rather look like a confident, capable blind person than like an ignorant, rude, sighted person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it's about like, I don't want to use the cane because I don't want to look blind in public, I don't want to identify publicly as a blind person, I don't want people to know that I'm blind. Honestly, I'd rather people know that and be like, wow, look at her, kicking butt, like out here living her best life, being independent, being capable.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not what I thought blindness was like.
Can I add
like, I would
something
rather
to-
them see that than be like, wow,
Right.
what a rude person who like I smiled and waved and
Right.
they ignored me.
Oh,
They bumped
yes.
into me in line. They
happens.
cut in front of me in the
People
grocery
think we're
store.
so rude.
They think
all
you're
the time.
rude.
Yeah.
They think you're ignorant. They think you're stupid. And I would rather look like a capable blind
Yeah.
person than an ignorant, rude, sighted person.
Now, Molly, you're far more capable than I am. I'm pretty sure, because I'm still yesterday while we're painting, who got paint on their clothes? Me, right? I want to say that sometimes having the cane or the dog, I feel like, well, at least when I make a really clumsy mistake,
People understand
understand immediately. Well, he's blind. That's why he knocked over that whole display at the grocery store. That's a really good point. So you got the cane first.
Yeah,
then
and you know, I didn't want to use the cane as most of us don't.
Right.
Particularly those of us with progressive vision loss.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to get to that point where you
'Cause it's a
accept
blurry
that you
line.
need the cane. It's a blurry line, literally.
Yeah,
it is literally a blurry line. So
Yes.
it's really hard to get to that moment.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, like I said, it does take something significant happening or other people in your life stepping in and being like, no, you need this now. And
Yeah.
so I was at that age where I was young enough that it really wasn't up to me. I had the accident. My parents and my team decided it's time. And so I started using it.
What was
and
your accident? Did you?
I ran into a fence and sliced my nose open.
Oh no.
Yeah, I still have like a little lumpy scar
do
tissue on the
you?
side
Oh,
where they
goodness.
like.
Well, that was pretty serious.
It was a lot of blood.
Oh,
you know,
no.
facial wounds.
Oh, I
they
know.
really bleed.
Like,
It's
that's
really dramatic.
It really can be. I mean, I did it 2 weeks ago. I just like bonked my head.
Yeah.
Lots of blood. Yeah.
Yep. So
goodness.
that was fun. And yeah, it really shook my confidence. And
yeah.
it was really life-changing for me
Right.
because at this young age, I now like my confidence in my own self-awareness and like spatial movement was kind of shaken. And also I now had to publicly identify everywhere I went as a blind person, right? And that's scary. It changes the way people interact with you. It changes the way people treat you. It changes the way you think of yourself.
Totally.
And at that young age, that was really hard. And so I can't remember who it was, but somebody, whether it was my parents or my O&M instructor, like told me, you know, if you get really good at using your cane and you really master this, you could get a guide dog at 13.
Oh.
And that seed was planted, and I was like manifesting that. I was not going to let that dream go. I was like, boom, new goal.
So it was a goal. And so now you have your latest guide dog, Elton John. How many guide dogs have you had?
He's number 4.
Number 4.
Yes, yeah. So my first one worked for 7 years. My second one worked for 7 years. My third one worked for 8 months and developed an issue, and is now living his best life as a pet.
Oh,
and then I have Elton, who I've had for 13 months.
Amazing. So that's so interesting. So the careers have been about 7 years with the first 2.
Yes, and my school's average is typically, they say 7.25 years is their general average at the school. But of course, there's dogs that work less than that, and there's dogs that work more than that.
And now our followers know that I went to Guide Dogs for the Blind. Molly, where did you go to get your dog?
I went to the Mira Foundation, which is a really small school in Quebec, Canada.
Oh, cool. And the coolest thing about that, well, one of the coolest things I should say, is that those dogs speak French. So all the commands are in French rather than in English. And you don't speak fluent French, right?
No, I speak dog French.
I love that. Also, another really neat thing about the school is the breed of dogs, right?
Yes. So they're known for Bernese Mountain Dog mixes. So they do have some purebred Berners. They do have some purebred Labs, but both of those are very rare. Typically, you are getting a Labernese or a St. Pierre.
Oh, wow.
So a Labernese and a St. Pierre are both mixes of a Bernese Mountain Dog and a Labrador. It's just to different levels.
Well, that's so cool. And the coolest thing about Elton John, by the way, the name Elton John,
iconic.
It's iconic, and I'm a little envious of it, to be honest.
He would fit you guys really well, you know, like a gay throuple.
I know.
You'd just be gay icons together.
Oh my god!
Right?
Yes,
it would be
absolutely,
so good.
Absolutely. But now we get to be friends with Elton John, so I can say Elton John is one of my friends.
Yes, exactly, and it's not a lie.
It's not a lie. But he's also extremely floofy. He is the softest dog I've ever touched. I thought Maple was soft, and this has ruined Maple's the experience for me, because Maple feels like coarse sandpaper compared to Elton John.
It's so floofy. I call it his floof factor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And his floof factor is out of control.
Yeah.
And it's ruined me. Like I'm like, I don't think I could ever go back to a short-haired dog. Like this has ruined me. I've always wanted a long-haired guide dog, and then I finally got one, and I was like, it's everything I wanted and more. It's like so good for my anxiety and my stress. Like it's like it's like my little it's like having a fidget toy with me. I'm like, ooh, look at the fluffy ears,
love
look at the fluffy ears.
You know, I think I can completely relate, because like as vision loss occurs, we really start to rely on other senses, and other senses, they really do become heightened because you're super hyper-focused
so reliant on them.
and reliant on them. And touch and feel really is such a significant one. So I can fully imagine just like constantly wanting to pet and snuggle up with Elton.
Oh, it's so snuggly.
Now, I've talked a lot to my followers about some embarrassing or funny or bizarre things that have happened in my guide dog journey, just with like normal everyday guiding. Funny things can happen. Is there any sort of funny story that you have with Elton or a previous guide dog that you could share with us?
Well, Elton's I call him my drama boy. He loves drama. Which like I relate, you know? So
I feel like we make a good pair.
Yeah, he loves to be dramatic, whether it's like walking in tar and getting his paws covered in tar.
In tar?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Or eating a poisonous plant.
No.
He just like loves to bring the drama into my life.
Quick visits to the vet.
Yes.
Oh my god.
So that's always fun.
That's always fun.
I've had 2 guide dogs have diarrhea at airports.
Oh no, that is like my worst nightmare.
Twice this happened to Gypsy and to Gallop.
But
and like at the
on
end of
the
the day,
plane or
no,
okay.
in the airport.
Okay. That's better than the plane.
Yeah. The one was like, over 10 years ago, before they even had pet relief areas at airports.
Oh, yeah.
And we were at our gate, and I just knew she needed to go, and it was an emergency. Like, she was unwell. And what can you do? Like, she's unwell, you know?
Right,
It's
right.
nobody's fault.
No.
So, like, I don't blame her for doing that. But she was, like, racing towards all the windows and, like,
Yeah.
looking out. And I was like, oh, no, she really has to go. So I was just going to literally get her to the human bathroom because, again, there was no, like, pet relief areas at this time. And she didn't make it. She had diarrhea all over the airport. Everybody, all the staff were super kind about it. Again, it's like any human. Like, sometimes you just, like, eat something wrong and, like, you know, it happens where it happens sometimes. And so everybody was super kind about it. But obviously, like, I was super embarrassed. And I felt bad for her.
Of course.
And the same thing happened with Gallup at JFK. We were racing him to get to the puppy relief area. And his tummy was ill and he just didn't make it. So.
Oh, poor baby.
And at the time, like, I was, you know, on social media and stuff. And I was like, oh, please, God, nobody, like, come film a Snapchat.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
please, God, no.
Molly, it strikes me just how much confidence you have, even when you're talking about the situations. And of course, you're human, so it's embarrassing. But like, there's something about you that really strikes me as so well adjusted with your condition and where you are in life. Did you always have that from the start, or do you think that you developed that?
You know, I think I'm somebody who's always been very outspoken. I've always been the type of person who has no filter. I stick my foot in my mouth a lot.
Why you are so fun to watch.
So I think that I've kind of just always been like loud, proud, bold kind of personality. Like I was a theater kid. I was into drama. Like I've just always been like that big character personality. I've never really been somebody who gets easily embarrassed. I've always been the type of person who, when something, quote, embarrassing happens, I kind of just own it.
Yeah.
And
That's
I think
really
in part it's like a coping mechanism. You know, like I've always been somebody who uses humor to cope with my vision loss.
Oh, totally.
And like everybody's entitled to cope with it their own way.
Right.
If you don't think blind jokes are funny, you don't have to tell them I'm going to, because I think they're funny and it makes me feel better. And like that just always kind of like helped. Like I remember back in my party girl era, when I wouldn't bring my guide dogs to like house parties and stuff, and so like I would walk in and I was well aware that half the people in that room had no idea that I was blind. So I would walk into the party and I would just be like, just so everybody knows, if I walk into a wall tonight, not drunk, just blind, or maybe both. And like I would just like, that's how I would just cope with it, you know? Like I just always, and then it's like if I walk into a wall, it's not embarrassing because I already called myself out on it and like made a joke and made light of it. And, like,
most people that I've met in the blind community do tend to have a really good sense of humor because I think that it is a great tool. You know, you're well aware that Matthew pranks me a lot, and a lot of it is sort of based on blindness in the sense that it's because I can't see what's going on. Yeah. Some people want to be offended or hurt for me as if like it's not kind to do.
Well, I think the difference is like this is your loving husband.
Right.
You have love, you have trust. If he was a stranger, that's inappropriate. Like don't watch their videos and be like, I should do that to a blind man at Starbucks. Don't. That's rude.
Please do not do that to any blind random person that you see.
That's not funny. But
this
like
is not funny.
in the circle of trust, it's like everybody has different boundaries. Yeah. Everybody has different comfort levels. Totally. And like for me, I was always well aware growing up that blindness, particularly because there wasn't a lot of education around it, there wasn't a lot of most people weren't exposed to it, there wasn't a lot of representation in media. Yeah. People were inherently uncomfortable about my blindness. I was bullied a lot growing up. People felt awkward, so they'd, instead of saying the wrong thing, they'd just say nothing to me. And I'm so extroverted and I'm so social that was really hard for me. And so I just kind of was like, I need to find a way to break the tension. I need to find a way to bridge the gap and make people feel comfortable, make people realize that like, I don't care that I'm blind. I know I'm blind and it's no big deal. And if it's no big deal to me, it shouldn't be a big deal to you. Let's just like treat me like a normal human. Absolutely. And I used comedy as a way to do that. And again, I grew up a theater kid, taking improv, like all of that's a comedy, right? Not every blind person will be comfortable with that.
You don't ever assume and respect their boundaries. I think that's a really good message. Okay, Molly, you are an adrenaline junkie. You are a downhill skier. I've seen you jump out of airplanes. Yes. It seems like nothing scares you in this world. But on today's extended episode, I wanted both of us to answer the question, what is your biggest fear as a blind person? So that is the question we're going to answer. I've
got plenty.
Do you?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. None of them involve jumping out of airplanes. None of them involve adrenaline. They're all like really, you might be surprised by what scares me.
Oh, that's a good tease. All right. Okay, if you want to watch the extended episode where Molly and I answered our biggest fears, plus we talked about a couple of random other things because, Molly, we can't stay on topic.
We can't stop. Stop.
We just kind of drift and meander, but it's always fun. So if you want to check out the full episode, then head over to patreon.com/Matthew and Paul. Or Matthew, what's the other? Matthew's nearby. Matthew, what do we say? Go to, if they want to watch it on YouTube.
If you're on YouTube, you can tap right here.
If you're on YouTube, why don't you say that part?
If you're on YouTube, you can tap right here.
Right here. I think, are we pointing to the same place?
Close enough.
Nailed it!
Okay.
I feel that people should know that this is what I was sitting on this entire time we were filming. The complete works of Shakespeare, this is the real height difference, just like to be clear.